coming to you from SpectreVision Radio. This fall, the Caribbean gets even stranger.
I am blinded by a bright white light.
More true tales.
I knew it was some sort of demon trying to enter our home.
More haunted history.
Great House Plantation is where the slaves were making the sugar cane.
Caribbean Mystics returns with new episodes every Thursday.
We're diving even deeper into Caribbean folklore, paranormal encounters.
I saw this shadowy figure coming right over the wall.
UFOs.
I don't want to panic until I'm seeing aliens and UFOs in the sky.
And the strange magic woven through our history and culture.
I was raised by grandparents who practiced Obeah, or witchcraft.
Caribbean Mystics.
Now streaming on all podcast platforms.
Welcome to the Ether. I'm your host, Nicole Johnstone. Some of you might know me as Nick. Most of you probably won't know me at all. I arrived here through a series of wild synchronicities. I'm a movement artist, sound practitioner, tarot reader, and atypically melanated student of high magic in the Western mystery tradition. For someone who's lived this many iterations of life, I've managed to keep a pretty low profile. I'm a Sagittarius sun, Aries moon, Leo rising. I believe that everything is alchemical. For a long time, instability and chaos plagued me. I was tormented by sleep paralysis, bad omens, ghosts, and hauntings of all kinds. This podcast is a story about how magic, discipline, and stewardship helped me see through the fog, an anthology of the unexplainable things I've seen and felt beyond the veil, and a reason for you to join me as I continue my work in uncovering the unseen. I've been a lighthouse, so to speak, for the other side since my earliest memory. There's always been this sense of retrocausality, a sort of paragnostic remembering, an ancient familiarity that has chosen to reveal itself to me through time. But this is one of the first times I've ever spoken publicly and in detail about my life as an experiencer. I think a common thread for all of us isn't the fear of the unknown itself, but the fear of judgment or non-belief from the people in our lives. I want you to know this is a space for informed curiosity, not sensationalism or skepticism for argument's sake. Believe it or not, some of these things are as difficult to unpack for me as they would be for many of you. Many of you who know exactly what I'm describing here. So many of the most awe-inspiring moments in my life have been tied to intense traumas, loss, or dysfunction. In a lot of ways, these experiences isolated me and sent me on a necessary journey inward. And this transmission is an essential step, I believe, in continuing and completing that cycle.
I reign above ye, saith the gods of justice, in power exalted above the firmament of wrath. In whose hands the sun is as a sword, and the moon as a full thrust of fire. fire, he measures your garments in the midst of my vesture, and tufts you together in the palms of my hand, whose feet I garnished with the fire of gathering, and beautified your garments with admiration. To whom I made a law to govern the Holy Ones, and delivered ye a rod with the ark of knowledge. Moreover, you lifted up your voices and sware obedience and faith to him that liveth and triumpheth, whose beginning is not, nor end cannot be, which shineth as a flame in the midst of your palaces, and reigneth amongst you as the balance of righteousness and truth. Move therefore and show yourselves, open the mysteries of your creation, be friendly unto me, for I am the servant of the same your God, true worshipper of the highest.
When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
I've had countless, blatantly psychic experiences since I was a kid. Still, you'll notice clairvoyant isn't one of the titles I claim. I'm a highly sensitive person, and these latent gifts are in a constant state of development, as I believe they are in all of us. Even the terms clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, they really only mean clear seeing, clear hearing, clear feeling. As I got older, these experiences would wax and wane. The development of my own claircognizant gifts would fade and callous during times of disorder. But as these last few years have broken me open, the more I began to remember. The more I moved toward the mystery, the more it magnetized and moved toward me. These recent years have played out like a near constant unfolding of hyper-specific coincidences, prescient dreams, and archetypal lessons I was positioned to learn for my own highest good, and by design, through intense suffering. As I embarked upon the great work, the same work I had begun as a teenage girl, this time with real veneration, the correlations started to materialize. In order for any of this to make sense, I first had to clarify my own field on every level. Old friendships, relationships, false identities, projections. I had built a self around stories other people told about me, to me, that I had probably told to them. Stories I didn't know I had so deeply accepted as my own, and that had ingrained themselves in the false structure of self I had been upholding. So much of that person had to die in order for me to sit before you today. When I say that I believe everything is alchemical, I mean that all of life is a process of refinement, sublimation, the tension of opposites resolving into a secret third thing, something that can only be forged through fire. As an astrological triple fire, my work is transmutation, transmission, the truth, the spark, expansion. But fire is volatile. And in order for any of us to see what's real, we must be put through a tempering process. I started using sound in my magical and spiritual practice in order to rectify the dense with the subtle, the physical, the mental, the etheric. In the process, unlocking a Kabbalistic method that made sense and felt unique to me. Really, I started playing sound bowls in order for everything to just shut the fuck up for a second, so I could finally return to center, to resurface these latent gifts that had been buried and weathered by years of just constant upheaval, so I could listen in again. And that clarity I sought would come, and through that clarity, my psychic inner child has and continues to regenerate. But had it not been for that disruption, I wouldn't have known what needed to change. I come to this space with great reverence, through grief, through the descent, dismembering. I lost my dad in 2020, and through that very real, very psychedelic, extremely devastating initiation, I was refined, torn apart like Osiris, and have spent the past few years collecting and reassembling all the pieces, and they've somehow led me here. In every sense, his transcendence has resurrected me. That archetypal death of self is necessary. It's timeless. To die before we die in order to experience the breadth of life in its entirety. And we'll go deeper into that in episode 1. Let's talk about the structure of the show. Each episode will begin with a personal account, one of my own paranormal, psychic, or unexplained experiences. I have many. Then we'll deepen the lens with a guest, an expert, a mystic, a teacher, a doctor. Each one a mirror, someone whose lived experience can help stretch the edges of what we think we know and inform the continued research I hope we'll get to do together. In between those, we'll get into some listener-submitted storytelling episodes with very little interruption from me, and through these connections, start to trace the arc of what unifies these experiences. We will talk about what it means to cross into the unknown, to find magic in the margins, to live curiously. We'll breathe into the mystery of death and the spaces between. We will dive into the unexplained, clairvoyance, dreams, consciousness, death, near death, and out-of-body experiences. Mystical teachings, ancient myth, sacred sites, UFOs, elementals, spirits, hauntings, and paratemporal time slips. We'll explore the tarot as what I believe to be the fundamental allegory for our human experience, magic and ritual, as they pertain to my ongoing teachings in Hermetic Kabbalah and the Western mystery tradition. And as I travel, we will learn about the many faces, facets, and symbols of the spirit world, cross-culturally and throughout time. Together we will dissect the mysteries, spark new conversations, and through this lens, begin to better understand one another. This podcast is not about spectacle, it's about presence. It's about unearthing the mystery and letting it speak. Before we close, I want to affirm something to you and to myself, that you are not alone in the surreal, that the things you've seen, felt, and wondered about, they matter. And I want you to accompany me as we integrate this information so that I'm not alone either. Once again, I'm your host, Nick, and you've been listening to The Aether. I now affirm the sphere dissolved and the transmission complete. So it is. If you've had a psychic, paranormal, or unexplained experience, you can call or text our listener line, The Void, at 323-332-1190. Follow us on Instagram at EtherPod, and join me at patreon.com/TheEtherPod. That's TheAetherPod for bonus episodes, guest interviews, ASMR, sound, tarot, and much more. This podcast has been brought to you by SpectreVision Radio. Theme music by Late Life. Created, edited, and produced by Nicole Johnstone.
Now receiving frequency transmission.
One of the most interesting ideas about ghosts was proposed by Andrew Lang, who was a fascinating polymath and author. He was one of the co-founders of the Society for Psychical Research, who took one of the first sort of forensic and scientific approaches to gathering and cataloging accounts of ghosts. And in 1897, he collected them in an amazing volume called The Book of Dreams and Ghosts. And in the Book of Dreams and Ghosts, Lang proposed the unique idea that ghosts may be the effect or the emanation caused by a dead person dreaming, and in effect projecting into the mind of those living. And that's a fascinating concept, that when you encounter what seems to be a ghost, you may actually be making contact with a dead person dreaming.
Transmission complete. Stay tuned to SpectreVision Radio. Stay.